Hello，各位同學早晨。咁而家就19個同學喺度，咁我哋等多陣啦。我哋今日做嗰個 lab 咧，就係有就係做 mutation testing 啦，同埋 test-driven development 啦。嗱，咁兩個都有個 test 呢兩個字啦。咁其實就呢兩個咧，就其實就實際上就唔係真係做 testing 嘅。OK， 我哋係用一啲 testing 嘅 technique 咧，就去做一個嘅一個 test suite 嘅 quality check 啦，即係 check 下你嗰啲 test case 好唔好，可唔可以 detect 到個 bug 出嚟啦。另外嗰個 test-driven development 就係我哋利用一啲 test 去幫助你去做嗰個program 嘅 implementation 咁樣樣啦。咁我哋咁大家可以咧睇翻嗰個 lecture slide，咁後邊嗰部分咧就有我哋今日嗰個 lab 嘅 exercise。咁今日個 lab 嘅 exercise 咧其實就唔太複雜嘅，因為如果你上個星期有做過嘅話咧，咁其實大致上你都掌握到嗰個，譬如我哋點樣去run 一個 test suite 啊，點樣去 test 一個 program 咧，咁其實大致上都係跟翻上個星期嗰個設定嘅啫。OK， 咁就大家可以去望一望嗰啲嘅，我哋今日大概要做啲乜嘢嘢啦，就係做呢兩個嘅 task 啦。咁同上個星期一樣啦，咁我第一個鐘頭咧就會俾大家自己落手去做嘅，咁第二個鐘頭咧我就會同大家一齊去 go through 翻啦。咁如果大家已經係已經有個 lecture slide 喺度嘅話，咁你可以望一望，可以自己試住先。OK， 咁我陣間都會同大家開咗個頭先，會講解下我哋嗰個 exercise 係點樣做啦，同埋呢兩個嘅exercise， 咁背後嗰個原理會再同大家去約略咁樣去 go through 翻啦。咁其實咧長嗰陣時講過嘅，咁我陣間會再簡單咁樣再講一講呢兩個嘅 exercise。OK， 去裏邊嗰個理念啊，唔係理念嘅，應該係嗰個 procedure 係點樣啊 ？OK， 咁我哋等多2分鐘到，我就會同大家一齊講解一次噶啦。啱啱嚟到嘅同學咧，可以去睇一睇我哋嗰個 lecture slide 後邊嗰部分嗰個 lab exercise 啦。咁我哋今日嗰個 lab exercise 咧就會有2個嘅 task 要做嘅，一個就係 mutation testing 啦，另外一個就係test-driven 嘅 development。咁大家可以初步望一望先。咁我大概1分鐘後咧，咁就會開始今日嘅 tutorial。就會教大家去睇下點樣做呢兩個嘅 task 嘅。 Well, it's time 11:05. Let's start the tutorial today. So good morning, everyone. So today we are going to do two lab exercise. Okay, so these are two hands-on lab exercise. Okay, so just like last week. Okay, so you are asked to um, um, use some test suite. Okay, so to do the test suite quality checking and use it for software development. Okay, so for mutation testing, okay, so you may probably remember that. Okay, so just recall here. Okay, so mutation testing is actually really a testing. Okay, so it's an approach for you to, okay, so to assess whether your test suite, okay, so is good enough in detecting program bug. So assume that you have a test suite and okay, so and your program, okay, so could pass all the test cases in that test suite. Okay, so it doesn't mean that okay, so your program, okay, so is good enough. Okay, so you have to use some ways to assess whether your test suite, okay, so is good at identify program bug. Okay, so how do you do that? Okay, so actually we can inject a program bug into your program. Okay, so we add an artificial bug in your program and see whether your test suite can detect that injected program bug. Okay, so if your test suite can detect that program bug, okay, so that would be good. Okay, so because your test suite is effective, okay, which can be able to identify the program bug. Otherwise, if you inject a bug into the program, but your test suite cannot detect that program bug, so your test suite, okay, so is not effective enough. So that you have to review your test suite, and perhaps you may need to add some more test cases. Okay, so to cover, okay, so, such a specific kind of fault. Okay, so in your program. So that's the intuition of mutation testing. Okay, so it is about to assess whether your test suite is good. So for the first task today, okay, so you are asked to practice doing mutation testing. So in last week, okay, so we have created two test program, okay, so consisting of two test suite. And the first one is for equivalent testing, and the second one is for boundary testing, right? So today we are going to use these two test suites to test for the correctness of grade.py program. Okay, assume that we have already bug fixed the grade.py program last week, right? So that if you run these two test suites, the result should be okay. Okay, meaning that all the test cases inside the test suite, okay, should be passed. Okay, when you test against with this grade.py program, right? So, so that we need to reuse, okay, so these three files, so we manipulated last week. Okay, so if you didn't keep this file or think that this file may not be, may have some problem, okay, so you may simply download the sample file from OLE, okay, so under this week folder. Right, so which contains the sample program for these three files. Okay, so after downloading these three files, okay, so you may try to execute these two test suites, okay, to test against the grade.py program. So normally, okay, so you should see that all the test cases should be passed, meaning that no bug is detected. Okay, so thereafter, okay, so you may try to inject a bug to your find grade function, okay, so of the grade.py program. Okay, so once you injected the bug, so you can then, okay, so we execute these two test suites to see, okay, so which test suite is more effective in detecting the injected program bug. So of course, the bug injected, okay, should be some logical bug instead of Okay, so we should not introduce the compilation error. Okay, so if your bug introduce compilation error, actually your program cannot be executed, so that the test suite cannot be run, right? So after injecting a bug in different location of your program, okay, so you may then compare, okay, so these two test suites, okay, so to see which one is better in detecting the program bug. Okay, so you also asked to answer the question. Okay, so on your learning journal template. Okay, so for instance, so for the first question, okay, so you're asked to give an answer saying which test suite, okay, so is better in detecting the injected bug. Okay, so either equivalent test or boundary testing. Okay, so you're also asked to write a few sentences to explain why. Okay, so your chosen test suite is better. Okay, so actually these two test suites, okay, equivalent testing and boundary testing have their own properties. Okay, so and nature. You may also refer to your lecture slide last week. Okay, so which have some definition, okay, in comparison of with these two testing method. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Okay, so for question A and B, right? Okay, so that's exercise 1. Okay, which is not that difficult. And then for exercise 2, besides using a test suite, okay, so besides injecting a bug to a program to check for the effectiveness of a test suite, okay, so we can also use a test suite to help the development process. Assume that in last week, okay, so we have, okay, so created a grade.py program. Okay, so we have bug fixed a grade.py program, right? So which that program, okay, so could, okay, so identify the grade, okay, so of a given score, and the grade has only 6 grade categories, 6 letter grade from A to F. Okay, so but this time for this week, we are going to, okay, so modify the program, okay, to enhance the program so that it could, okay, so further determine 2 subgrades, A++ and A+. Okay, so instead of directly modify the program, okay, so this time we would like to practice, okay, so using TDD, test-driven development. TDD, okay, so let's have a recall. TDD, test-driven development. So that's actually a test first, okay, software development process. Okay, so instead of directly modifying the program, okay, so this time we would like to, okay, so create some test cases. Okay, so to add some more test cases, okay, so which could, okay, so cater for the testing of this new subgrade. Okay, first. Okay, so after creating test cases, okay, so for testing the these all these 8 categories, okay, so according to the grade range, and then we could execute that test suite. Okay, so because your program, okay, so hasn't been modified or implemented the enhanced feature, okay, so to distinguish these 2 subgrade. So if you want the test suite, okay, so most likely, okay, so the result will be fail, okay, because the required functionalities haven't been implemented in your program yet. So that if you execute the new test suite, okay, so the results should be, some of the test cases should be failed. right? Because the desired functionality haven't been implemented. Okay, so and then you may observe the result, the test result, and then try to so fix your program, so that you make those failed test cases to be passed. So that is about to implement the missing feature, of the grade.py program. So to eliminate the detected bugs. So to remove this bug, by implementing the required functionality in your program. So eventually, so all the test cases should be passed. So if you implement all the functionality in your program. So and optionally, you may further refactor your program code. Meaning that you may review your program code to make it more concise and easy to read. So that's the step for exercise 2. After that, you are asked to put the source code of your new test suite and the updated grade.py program. So which consisting of the new feature in detecting the new subgrades. Right. So you also have to paste it in your learning journal template. Learning journal. So for these two program. Right. So the time is still early. So any questions so far? So let me have a very quick recap in Cantonese for these two exercise. 嗱，咁我好快咁講一講啦。咁呢兩個 exercise 就第一個我哋就做 mutation testing 啦。mutation testing 咧就雖然叫做 testing，但係其實我哋唔係 test for 個 program 嘅，我哋係試下我哋個 test suite 好唔好，係咪 test suite 就即係我哋一 set 嘅 test cases 啦，係咪啊？咁我哋上個星期我哋就整咗兩個 test suite 啦，一個 test for 一個就係 equivalent testing 啦，另外一個 for 呢個 boundary testing 噶嘛，我哋就去試個 grade.py program 嘅，係咪啊？咁大家可以攞翻上星期你哋用開個 file 啦，咁或者可以如果冇 keep 到或者唔肯定個 program 有冇錯咧，咁你可以 download 翻我哋嗰個喺 OLE 度 download 翻我哋今個星期咧有個 zip file 嘅，咁就有晒呢3個 file 喺度噶啦。嗱，咁點樣做咧？你就 download 咗落嚟，你就行一行呢兩個 test suite 先啦。嗱，咁 suppose 咧呢兩個 test suite 咧係 detect 唔到個 program bug 出嚟嘅，即係所有 test case 都 pass 嘅。所有 test case 都 pass 嘅，因為本身呢個 grade.py program 咧就應該 implement 咗佢應有嘅 functionality 啦，係咪？亦都見唔到一啲好 obvious 嘅 bug 喺度啦。咁所以呢兩個 test suite 係 pass 嘅。嗱，咁呢兩個 test suite 都 pass， 咁究竟呢兩個 test suite 有冇問題咧？好唔好咧？其實唔知喎，係咪啊？咁我哋想知道個 test suite 嘅 quality 係點咧？我哋就可以用呢個 mutation testing。mutation testing 個用意就係我哋喺個 program 度 somewhere 整個 bug 喺度。嗱，咁我哋有 bug 喺個 program 度，如果你個 test suite 可以 detect 得到佢嘅，咁你個 test suite 咪好嘢咯，係咪啊？如果你嘅 test suite 係 detect 唔到你插入去嗰個 bug 嘅話，咁你個 test suite 就唔好啦，係咪啊？我哋個 test suite 就係想試下 program 有冇 bug 啊嘛。如果你 test suite 試唔到佢有 bug 嘅，咁咪即係唔夠好咯。咁你咪就要去可能要改良下去，係咪？可能要加多啲嘅 test cases 啊，或者再 review 過係咪有啲位 check 漏咗啊，咁樣啦，係咪啊？咁呢個係一個 test suite 嘅 quality checking 嚟嘅。OK， 得唔得？嗱，咁就呢個 exercise 叫你去之後就比較下呢兩個 test suite 啦。equivalent testing、boundary testing 邊個好啲啦？喺邊個好啲啦？跟住就寫翻幾句 sentence 去解釋翻點解嗰個 test suite 係好啲嘅。嗱，咁你可以溫完之後，你比較咗之後咧，咁你可以都 refer 翻上個星期嗰個 slide 咧，咁其實都有講解嗰兩個 test suite 嘅分別嘅。OK， 嗱，咁至於第二個 exercise 咧， 我哋就做 TDD 啦。嗱，咁 TDD 就係唔係一個 testing 嘅方法嚟嘅，係一個 development 嘅 approach 嚟嘅。嗱，咁我哋一般嚟計咧，如果你去寫 program 係咪？你根據個 spec 咪寫曲咯，係咪啊？或者你去 modify 一個 program，你咪根據個 requirement，你咪去 implement 要嘅 function 咯，係咪啊？咁但係我哋有另外一個方法嘅，叫做 TDD。TDD 嘅做法係點咧？我哋係先寫咗個 test 先嘅。先寫咗個 test，根據翻你嗰個嘅design spec 啦，去寫咗啲 test cases 先。OK，嗱咁好似我哋而家呢個 example 咁啦。嗱，我哋上個星期咪做咗一個翻 grade 嘅 program 嘅。咁我哋個翻 grade program 只有認到會同你去分辨6個 category 嘅letter grade 噶嘛 ，A 至 F 噶嘛，係咪啊？嗱，今日我哋個 exercise 咧就係話，我而家想修改呢個 program。OK， 我想 enhance 呢個 program， 我想加多2個 subgrade 落去，叫做 A 加加同埋 A 加。OK， 就根據呢個 score range。嗱，咁以往嚟計，咁可能大家諗到會唔會直接改個 program 咯，係咪啊？嗱，咁我哋今次咧就想 practice 嗰個 TDD 嘅 approach。嗱，咁大家咧就首先就唔係去直接改個 program 啦，係寫咗個 test case 先。嗱，點樣做咧？嗱，咁我哋就今次 assume 我哋用個 boundary testing 啦。OK， 咁你可以 copy 翻你上個星期即係我哋上邊頭個 part 嗰個 test grade .bdy boundary testing 嗰個 test read， 你 make 個 copy 係咪改咗去做 boundary 2啦？嗱，跟住你就加一啲新嘅 test cases 入去，係咪？加啲新嘅 test cases 入去，就根據翻你呢個咁嘅 requirement。OK， 嗱，咁你加咗落去嘅話，而之後咧你就去試下去 test 你嗰個原本個 grade.py program。嗱，原本個 grade.py program 本身佢係未 implement 嗰啲要嘅新嘅 feature 噶嘛，係咪？新嘅 requirement 係 satisfy 唔到噶嘛，所以如果你 run 呢個 test suite 嘅話咧，你會見到有一啲 test cases 咧係會 fail 嘅。明唔明點解會 fail 啊？因為你個啲 test case 係新噶嘛，但係嗰啲 function 你係個 program 裏邊未有噶嘛，係咪啊？咁所以嘅話咧，你去 run 個 test suite 咧就會有啲test cases 係會 fail 嘅。嗱，咁啲 test cases fail 咗個意思就即係證明到，咦，你呢個 test bit 係 work 嘅喎，係 valid 嘅喎，因為佢 detect 到你個 program 咧有啲 features 係未 implement， 係咪？即係簡單講，即係有個 bug 喺度啦，係咪啊？嗱，你跟住做嘅 task 咧就係基於呢啲你見到嘅 program bug。OK， 佢就會話俾你聽，話喂邊個 test case 係 fail 咗，係咪啊？你就去根據呢啲 bug 咧，你就去 fix 呢啲 bug 啦。點樣 fix 呢啲 bug 啊？咪就係去 implement 翻你應有嘅一啲 features 咯，係嘛？嗱，咁你當你 implement 晒你所有要嘅 features， 即係嗰2個 subgrade 之後咧 ，OK， 當你個 program implement 咗一啲 logic 去處理呢啲新嘅 subgrade 之後咧，嗱，咁你再 run 個 test suite 咧，就應該所有 test cases 應該都 pass 噶嘛，係咪啊？嗱，咁你如果唔 pass 嘅話，咁你就 observe 下，咦，係咪我做漏咗啲嘢咧？睇翻嗰個 test result， 哦，原來我都仲爭咗個subgrade未 check 嘅喎，咁我 implement 埋佢，跟住就再 test 啦，跟住最後 eventually 應該全部 test case 就 pass 晒啊嘛。全部 test case pass 晒嘅話咧，就意味住你嗰個 program 咧就已經完成咗個 implementation 啦，係咪啊？即係可以 determine 到其他嗰2個新嘅 subgrade，係咪啊？嗱，就係咁啦。嗱，咁 optionally 咧，你就有個叫做 refactoring 啦，即係你有個 clean up 嗰啲 program code 啦。點解係 clean up 啊？因為你係有時根據嗰個 failing result 嚟去寫啲 code咧，咁有時可能會令到呢 program code 係比較雜亂啲啊，或者即係唔係咁有系統啊，個 structure 唔係咁好咧。refactoring 即係其實你執靚啲 program code 啫。OK， 咁你 optionally 你睇下需唔需要執靚啲 program code 咯。OK， 咁我相信喺我哋一個咁簡單嘅 scenario 咧，就應該唔使執嘅。咁陣間做到嘅時候，可以再同大家講一講呢 part 啦。嗱，咁我哋今日就同上個星期一樣啦。OK，so same as the last week. So I would like to for the first hour, I would like to give you some time, okay, so to work independently on your own for these two exercises. Okay, and then in the second hour, okay, so I will, okay, so guide you through the steps, okay, so in doing these two exercises. Okay, so I think it's time you may start to work on your own this hour. So I will stand by here if you encounter any problem or difficulty. So you can ask me anytime. Okay, so any question? Okay, so you may start doing these two exercise now. Okay, so and then in the next hour, okay, so I will go through the exercise with you. OK，嗱咁而家大家可以開始試下做先。嗱咁下一個鐘頭咧，我就會同大家一齊去做嘅，得唔得？咁啊，大家試下先。嗱咁有問題咧，隨時問我，喺度 stand by 等大家嘅。OK。 Hello，各位同學。嗱，時間就啱啱12點啦，咁啊1個鐘頭過去咗，咁我諗應該大部分嘅同學應該都做完咗呢2個 exercise 啦，係咪啊？So now the time is now at 12 p.m. So I think many of you have already finished the exercise. Okay, so this hour, let's go through this exercise together. First of all, we would like to do the mutation testing. Okay, so given that we have 2 test reads, okay, so one for the equivalent testing. Okay, so for equivalent testing, okay, so we have 6 tests and which consists of 6 test cases. And for mutation, for boundary testing, it also has 6 tests consisting of 12 test cases. Okay, so testing for the boundary. Okay, so of each grade category. Okay, so for example, for grade A, we have 2 test cases, test for the upper bound and lower bound, right? So altogether we have 12 test cases. Okay, so in these 6 tests. Now we would like to execute these 2 test suites to test for the correctness of the grade.py program. Okay, so let's type the command Python test grade dot equivalent.py. You can see that all these 6 tests were passed. Okay, so when you execute the test grade eq.py, okay, so test program. So meaning that, okay, so no bug is detected. Okay, so on the other hand, we would like to test for the, we would like to execute the boundary testing. Okay, similarly, it executes 6 tests and the result was okay and it ran 6 tests. Okay, so for these 2 test reads, they did not identify any bug in your program, right? So that we actually we are not sure which test read is better in detecting program bug because both of them cannot detect any program bug. So that we would like to inject a program bug into your program. Okay, so for example, I would like to simply change a constant variable. Here, for example, okay, so if the score is larger than or equal to 60, then the grade would be C. Okay, so let me change a bit. Okay, so for example, okay, so I inject a bug here. Okay, I change the constant variable from 60 to 61. Okay, change the constant value. Okay, so let's execute the test again. Okay, so for equivalent testing, oh, the result is the same. Okay, so it ran 6 tests and the result was okay. Okay, so for equivalent testing, it did not reveal the injected bug here. So how about the boundary testing? Oh, boundary testing, the result was fail, and one of the test case was failed. So let's trace the failing test case here. Okay, so it says that test C was failed. The reason was that we expect the program should return grade C. Okay, however, so by providing the score 60, the program cannot produce the actual output as expected. Okay, so for the input argument 60, okay, so let's trace the program. 60, assume the score is 60. 60 is larger than or equal to 61. Okay, so which is false, right? So because they are not either not matched or larger than 61. Okay, how about 61? 60 is larger than or equal to 50. Okay, so that was true. So that, okay, so the grade actual output of this program, okay, of this code should be grade D, right? So that the actual output is D and the expected output is C, which means that these two outputs are not matched. So that resulting a failed test one. So that one of the tests was failed. So you can see that among these two test reads, okay, so grade test grade boundary. Okay, so for the boundary testing, it could detect that injected bug. Okay, so let's revert the change and then so try to inject a bug to somewhere. Okay, so for example, this time I would like to change, okay, if the score is larger than 80. Okay, so what would be happen? Okay, so let's execute these two test suite again. Okay, again, for equivalent testing. Okay, so all test cases were passed. For boundary testing, okay, so again, it fails. Okay, so it says that the expected output is A, but eventually the expected output, the actual output, so was B, right? So was B, so that it is incorrect. Okay, so you may also try to modify different parts of this program to inject some more bugs. Okay, so and then to do the testing. Okay, and then compare the result. Okay, so from to compare the test result from these two test reads. So you may probably see that. Okay, so for boundary testing, it is more effective in detecting the program bug, right? So okay, so you may simply put the answer. Okay, so in your learning journal. Okay, so for question A, okay, so as together with question B. Okay, so for question B, you may refer to your lecture slide of last week to state the reason. Okay, so any question for this exercise? For exercise 1？ 嗱，第一個 exercise 就有冇咩問題想問啊？係咪？我哋而家咁樣簡單比較都見到咧，個 boundary testing 係咪似乎係 more effective 啊？因為我哋幾乎我哋所有嘅改動，佢都揾得到個 bug 出嚟啊嘛，係咪啊？我哋所有嘅 bug 插入去，佢都 detect 得到，係咪？但係咧嗰個 equivalent testing 咧就 detect 唔到嘅。咁嗰個原因咁其實你可以 refer 翻上個星期嗰個 lecture slide 啦，係嘛？嗱，我哋 equivalent testing 其實嗰個 嗰、個嗰、個 intuition 就係想去 cover 晒所有嘅branches 啫嘛，所有 cover 晒所有嘅 category 啫嘛，即係 A to E A to F 咁呢6個 categories 要 cover 晒啫嘛，係咪啊？咁但係佢未必係好適用於去 detect 一個 program bug 咯，係咪？因為通常我哋都知道 program bug 通常喺啲 boundary 嘅地方出現嘅機會係大好多嘅，係咪啊？咁所以 boundary testing 咧就幾乎就可以即係 detect 晒頭先我哋所inject 落去嘅 program bug 啦，係咪？咁呢個你自己可以講翻啦，嗰個 learning journal 嗰度。OK， 有冇問題啊？係咪大家都大概明白我哋 exercise one 嗰個用意啊，或者佢要做啲乜嘢啊咁。Any question for exercise one? Right. So okay. So let's proceed to the next exercise. Exercise 2. Okay, so for exercise 2, we would like to so enhance the find grade function. Okay, so to recognize the subgrades. Okay, A++ and A+. So you may follow the procedure here. So first of all, we would like to make a copy. Okay, so of the boundary testing test suite. Okay, so let me just call. Okay, so here. So boundary testing. Okay, so I simply make a copy here. Okay, so and then link it as test grades boundary 2.py. Yeah. So now we have a new test suite. Okay, so called test grade boundary 2.py. And this time we would like to first create some new test cases. Okay, so for this test suite, so that it could, okay, so test for the enhanced feature of the find grade function. Okay, so the enhanced feature is about to, okay, so determine the new subgrades here. Okay, so that we may simply, okay, so duplicate 2 tests here. Okay, so now we have 2 new tests added. Okay, so consisting of 4 new test cases. Okay, so for both upper bound and lower bound. Okay, so firstly, we would like to name the new category. Okay, so for we would like to rename the new tests. Okay, so for as we cannot type the %, okay, so the % may be reserved in Python. Okay, so that I would like just to link the new test as test A2 and test A1. Okay, so together with test A. Okay, so for test A2, I would like to create test cases for test for the A++ grade. So for A++ grade, okay, so the grade range would be from 96 to 100, right? 96 to 100. Okay, so that I would like to, okay, so create the boundary test cases for from 96 to 100, and the grade was is A++. And then for A1, okay, so the range is from 90 to 95. Okay, 90 to 95. 95 and 90. And the grade is A+. Okay, so and then for the grade A. Okay, so now the upper bound is not 100. It should be 89, right? Right. So now we have added 2 new tests here. Okay, so altogether we have 4 new test cases. Okay, so testing for the upper bound and lower bound of A++ and A+. Okay, so and we also modified it. Okay, so the original test A, okay, so the upper bound is changed to 89 instead of 100, right? Okay, so after adding the new test cases, okay, so we would like to use this test suite to test for the original grade.py program. So, okay, so the command is that, okay, Python test grades boundary 2.py. And okay, so we expect that some test cases should be failed. Okay, so because we haven't implemented the required functionality in the grade.py program yet, right? Okay, so as we expect, okay, so 2 tests will fail. Okay, test A1 was failed, test A2 was failed. Okay, so it says that the actual output is not matched with the expected letter grade A+. Okay, so and A++, right? So that we now just verify that the test suite should be okay, should be valid, in detecting the program bug. Okay, so because these 2 tests could detect the problem of the unimplemented function. Okay, so the unimplemented function which so resulting a unmatching expected output. Okay, so with the actual output. So how about the next step? Okay, so the next step is about to so add some new feature to your program. Okay, so to modify the grade.py program. So okay, so to make the program, okay, so cater for the expected output. Okay, so in the test cases. Okay, so for example, okay, so we see that A1 and A2, okay, test A1 and A2 will fail. Okay, so now we are going to, okay, so modify the original program so that it could, okay, so make make this test, okay, so to be passed. Okay, so this time we would like to open the, okay, so grade.py program. Okay, so this time we would like to first, okay, so for example, I would like to insert a new logic here. Okay, so say that, okay, so for larger than 96, larger than or equal to 96, okay, so the grade should be A++, right? And then, okay, save. Okay, so I would like to test the program again. Okay, so with the same test suite. You can see that the test. Okay, so this time the failed test case, okay, was were test A and test A1, right? So previously, okay, so the failed test was test A2 and test A1, right? You can see, okay, so after adding a new logic here, so it still could not, okay, so we solve all the program bug in the program, right? So because we still haven't implement all the required function. Okay, so then we need to, okay, so further, okay, so include the logic here. Okay, so for this one, for grade A plus. That should be from the range of 90 to 95, right? 90 to 95. So then we would like to, okay, so create a bound here. Okay, so for A plus. Okay, so then we try to test the program again. Okay, so this time, okay, so the number of failed test cases, okay, so is reduced to 1. Okay, so it just failed. Okay, so one of the tests. Okay, so that's for test A. Test A, right? For test A, that's about to compute the grade for grade A, right? So let's study the program again. Oh, we see that. Okay, so we just implemented A++ and A+. Okay, so without the grade A. So then we can further create further add a logic for grade A. Okay, so for grade A, the range is from 80 to 89, right? So that would be A. Okay, so now in this program, we have logic for the for the two A subgrade and grade A, right? A++, A+, and A. Okay, so it looks that we have already implemented the required feature. Okay, so for the two new subgrade. Okay, so this time let's execute the test again. Okay, so eventually all the tests were passed, right? And then the overall result was okay. Okay, so meaning that, okay, so the test suite, okay, so cannot detect any new bug from the program. Okay, so I'll say, okay, all the bugs have been removed, right? Okay, so now actually we have, okay, so already done the steps from step 1 to step 5, right? So we have already created, okay, so some test suite to test for the new features of the program, and then we, okay, so test the original, okay, so grade.py program, and we find that, okay, so there are some failed test cases, and then we implement the missing features, okay, so to eliminate those program bugs, and then eventually, okay, so we run the test and see that all the bugs are removed. So, and then, okay, so perhaps we need to clean up the program code. Okay, so let's review the program code here. So actually we can see that the program code is actually pretty nitty and okay, so and the readability is also okay, so that we have no need to do the refactoring. Okay, so that's okay, so that's all for that's the procedure for the TDD, okay, test-driven development. Okay, so we also, okay, so done all these steps. 咁 so far 我哋就做咗兩個嘅試咗兩個嘅task 啦，兩個嘅 exercise 啦。咁第一個就我哋去驗證下我哋啲 test fit 好唔好啦，係咪啊 ？Exercise 1。第二嗰個咧，我哋用 TDD 個方法去做 development 啦，先寫咗個 test case， 係咪啊？先寫咗啲新嘅 test case， 係咪啊？跟住就去試個 program 啦。當你試個原本個 program 嘅時候咧，咁你就會發現好多 bug 啦，因為嗰啲新嘅 feature 未有啊嘛。咁透過不斷咁重複呢個步驟，慢慢去 remove 咗嗰啲 bug 去咧，咁你最後你個 program 就完成咗啦，係咪啊？咁嗰個 TDD 嗰個做法就係咁樣嘅，先寫 test case 先做 development 嘅，同我哋平時嗰個做法有啲唔同啦。平時我哋一般嚟計，我哋係寫好晒先做一個 unit testing 噶嘛，係咪啊？TDD 就調翻轉嘅，寫咗 test suite 先嘅。咁就都有佢嘅好處喺度嘅，得唔得？有咩好處啊？ 你寫個 test case 先咧，你其實會更加清楚個 program 裏邊嗰啲 logic 係點嘅，要有啲乜嘢嘢嘅係咪啊？你清楚個 requirement，清楚個 structure，你對你寫個 program 咧係會更加事半功倍嘅，得唔得？OK，有冇問題想問啊？Any question so far？嗱，基本上我哋今日嗰個 exercise 咧就做晒㗎啦。嗱，本來咧我 expect 阿 Oliver 咧可能會再加少少 exercise 喺今個 video 嗰度嘅，因為佢教咗嗰啲 ethics 啊嗰啲嘢啦喺呢個後半 part 個 lecture 嗰度。咁就 eventually 就我見唔到有啦。咁就 anyway 啦，唔緊要啦。咁我哋都嗰啲 ethics 嗰啲都冇乜特別嘅啫，都係嗰啲一啲 rules 咁樣嘅嘢啦。嗱，關於兩個 exercise 有冇嘢想問啊？嗱，今日就最後一堂啦，係咪啊？咁，睇下同學有冇啲咩想問啦？嗱，其實之前嗰啲 session 有啲同學就問嗰個 SRS 啦。嗱，SRS 嗰個即係你哋 group 嗰個嘅 assignment 啦。嗱，咁其實嗰個就你跟翻嗰個 template fill 翻啲嘢落去，就係咁咯，係咪啊？咁當然啦，你嗰個 SRS 咁可能會有唔同同學嘅一啲嘅 work 會擺落去啦。咁你最重要就係理順翻去咯，係咪啊？咁你唔好俾人望落去，好似一嚿嚿唔同嘅嘢夾硬塞咗落去咁樣樣，係咪啊？咁你砌翻順佢，咁根據翻佢寫嘅 requirement 去做就得啦。嗱，咁嗱，其實你見到同我見到嗰個 SRS 都係一樣嘅啫。嗱，咁如果你有咩睇唔明咧，咁你可以 email 問下 Oliver，OK，得唔得？咁嗱，咁佢裏邊就有個上面有個 table 嗰個 field 啦，就佢得4格嘅啫，咁就擺4個嘅 member 嘅名落去。但係可能你哋有啲組咧係多過4個人噶嘛，咁你自己 insert 多一個 role 落去啦，係咪啊？咁如果有啲 task 嘅話，可能佢叫你做4個 task，即係可能要畫4個 diagram。咁但係你個組可能有5個人嘅，咁你可能要加多一個落去咯。咁呢啲自己執生，同埋佢本身個 email 都提過咧，佢問你哋仲有咩有咩 expectation 啊，有咩 requirement，有啲咩嘅想點樣做啊？咁可以喺好似1月6號之前去通知佢嘛。咁所以你計咧，嗰個 SRS 裏邊咧，有啲嘢可能佢自己都Oliver 可能都未確實嘅。咁你其實可以做住先啦，跟住再睇下佢嚟緊嗰啲 follow up 嘅 email 啊，有啲咩嘅 update 咧，跟住你再去改佢咯，得唔得啊？嗱，咁 somehow 嗰個所謂 group SRS 呢個 group 嘅 assignment 咧，就係佔50%嘅，同你 individual 嗰個都係一樣嘅，都係50%，得唔得？嗱，咁嗱，有啲同學都心水清咧，就見到裏邊就有啲講法好奇怪嘅。佢話你嗰個 SRS 咧嗰個分數咧就未必係個同學一樣嘅。咁但係咧，我哋望嚟望去咧都諗唔到點樣可以令到佢唔同啦。有咩 component 可以令到佢唔同啦？咁就咁呢個你唔好咁在意啦，唔使擺喺心裏邊。可能佢寫咗落去，Oliver 都未諗得清楚係點樣做。咁就睇下佢嚟緊會唔會有個 update 嘅，佢好多時有啲 version 2嘅嘢擺出嚟噶嘛。咁啊睇下會唔會有 update 個 requirement 啦，係嘛？咁有問題嘅，你可以問佢啦，係嘛？你或者問我啦，你問我其實我有時都係 refer 翻俾佢去答啦。因為始終佢係 CC 嚟噶嘛，佢係呢個 course 嘅裏邊嘅一啲嘅 assessment 都係去 set 嘅，OK，咁都係以佢作準咯。你問我都係問翻佢嘅啫，得唔得？有冇其他問題想問啊？ 嗱，好問題啦，幾時 submit 咧？嗱，咁佢嗰度好似冇寫個 date 嘅，咁呢個係一個好嘅問題嚟嘅。嗱，咁我相信佢應該都會俾翻足夠嘅時間你哋去做呢樣嘢啦。咁因為其實之前你哋嗰啲 learning channel 其實都基本上大部分嘅嘢你哋都做咗噶嘛，只不過係抽翻啲出嚟砌翻一個 group 嘅 report 啫嘛。咁你睇下佢嚟緊，我都會 remind 佢話會通知翻大家嗰個 submission 個 deadline 啦，係咪啊？咁睇下佢點諗啦。咁盡量都唔好影響到你哋考試嗰個 read 係咯，咁樣咯。嗱，Learning Journal 嗰個做得啱唔啱，你就睇翻阿 Oliver 咧，佢咪有一個 journal 嘅 feedback 俾你哋嘅。因為其實就你知你嘅 course 其實好多人㗎嘛，係咪啊？阿 Oliver 佢就冇諗過話其實我哋冇人手去逐個星期同你講晒啲功課嘅。其實我哋都係一段時間一個 batch 咁樣去睇啦。咁就即係我哋都係 so far 都係抽嚟睇啦，跟住睇翻即係有啲咩大概 overall 嘅問題，咁就佢會一次過就喺 lecture 嘅時候同你講一啲 common mistake 啊咁樣，咁你就 refer 翻嗰啲嘅 common mistake 咧，係咪？咁你睇翻你自己嗰啲 submission 有冇呢啲咁嘅問題咯？係咪？有呢啲問題嘅，即係有則改之無則加勉啦，係咪啊？咁你有問題嘅咪跟住佢嗰啲 feedback 嚟去得翻去咯，係嘛？咁其實你最後嗰個 learning journal 咧，即係你今日做嗰個咧 submit 嗰個係最緊要嘅，係咪？因為我哋嚟緊 study break 咧，我哋有時間咧就可以同你由頭到尾睇一次。咁就可能就揾嗰一個就係做最後嘅 grading 咯。咁你 refer 翻去之前俾你嗰啲 feedback 咧，就去睇下之前嗰啲有冇啲做得唔好嘅地方，就執靚佢啦。嗱，因為 individual 嘅 feedback 咧，就現實上真係俾唔到嘅，因為我同 Oliver 兩個人係嘛，咁同埋我哋都有其他科要教噶嘛，咁就好困難話，就算我一份 report 睇5分鐘係咪？你乘翻300幾個學生咁，其實一個好長嘅時間嚟嘅。咁其實係現實上我哋係改唔到嘅，得唔得？咁所以可以 refer 翻嗰個 journal 嗰個 feedback 咯。咁其實佢嗰啲 feedback 我睇過都係啱嘅，係咪？咁通常都係啲常犯嘅錯誤啦，譬如話有啲 diagram 裏邊，咁其實有時有啲 tutorial 我都會提翻大家話，喂，之前嗰啲 diagram 有啲咩 common mistake 啊咁樣。咁你其實跟翻嗰啲 feedback 去睇下有冇地方要改咯，係咪？咁就係啊，咁啱唔啱就係睇嗰度啦。其實係咪有得交就得？咁有得交，梗係就基本上 guarantee 你合格咯，係咪啊？咁都要睇翻個 quality 嘅，係咪？有得交嘅固然之啦，係咪啊？咁其實都係一個好事嚟嘅。嗱，以往呢一科係一個10個 credit 嘅科嚟噶嘛，一個 sam 噶嘛，佢係同另外一科project management 係夾埋咗一齊讀10個 credit 咯。今年就拆開咗2個啦，同埋取消咗個 exam 噶。今年你哋冇 exam 噶，變咗冇 exam，其實係咪一個好事咧？咁有好有唔好啦，係咪？有啲同學中意考試，有啲同學可能中意交 assignment，唔中意考試。咁呢個就各有各好啦，係咪？咁深刻，我諗大家交完嗰個功課就可以專心預備其他嘅考試，咁都 OK 嘅，係咪？嗱，咁其實就咁 SRS 就應該係一早交一份嘅，因為你上邊有個 table 噶嘛，會 list 晒所有 member 嗰個名喺度噶嘛。 係啦，派一個代表 submit 就得啦，得唔得啊？嗱，咁記得你嗰個做代表嗰個要信得過咯，係咪啊？一陣間啊，大家你眼望我眼就以為對方 submit，跟住最後大家都冇 submit 到，咁就都曾經發生過呢啲趣事嘅，係咪啊？咁就大家留意翻啦，係咪？嗱，咁現實上都係有個 grade 嘅 distribution 啦，即係呢啲 course 係咪啊？咁少部分嘅同學會攞到 A 啦，係咪啊？咁亦都有更少部分嘅同學會攞到 fail 啦。咁譬如佢唔交嘢嘅，咁嗰啲就真係幫唔到佢啦。嗱，唔完全唔交嗰啲咧，我哋冇空間俾到分你㗎，係咪啊？咁所以就完全唔交嘢就會 fail 啦。係咪有交嘢嘅，咁交啲 decent 嘅，即係似樣嘅嘢，咁基本上都會有一個合格嘅分數咯。通常嚟計，係咪？咁所以就都唔使咁擔心嘅。我諗 Oliver 都係一個幾 lenient，即係幾好幾仁慈嘅，喺俾分呢方面係啦。嗱，咁始終俾分呢個 final decision 咧，都係落咗喺course leader 啦，即係你哋Oliver 個手上啦。咁就係啦，咁大家盡量俾心機做好佢咯。咁啊唔好咁唔使俾咁大壓力自己嘅呢科。OK，係啦，嗱，你哋嘅留言我就基本上應該冇答漏啦。嗱，咁仲有冇其他問題想問啊？嗱，如果你而家諗唔到冇問題嘅，你 anytime email 俾我哋啦，係咪啊？俾我或者 Oliver 啦，我答到你就答啦，答唔到我就 forward 翻俾Oliver 都答你哋啦，係咪？咁就係咁嘅咯喎。咁就睇下將來有冇機會再face to face 咁見到大家啦，係咪啊？咁 somehow 都係你見到我啦，我又未見過你哋嘅真身啦，咁就係嘛，有啲嘅遺憾啦咁今年就最後一日啦，咁祝大家新年快樂啦一生平安啦。OK，咁就到此為止啦，咁睇下有冇機會再見大家。OK，咁就拜拜各位，拜拜，拜拜。